The mistake I have made is saying the word yes too much. Yes. And not having no in my vocabulary, because I honestly didn't think that I had it in my vocabulary in that job, especially when you're starting out. The difference between your career level and the person you're supporting can be so significant that sometimes I certainly have, but I've seen other people forget that you're actually a human and you are just as important as the person you are supporting. There is no difference of you when you cut back the label of what it is that you do. And it's so tempting to want to constantly provide for that person. And also, it's very much within the character type of a person who's gotten to that level to continually ask for more. It that's how they are where they are. And it's so okay to say no, or I can, yes, but something needs to come away. Like, you really need to think about your time, your energy. You only have so much. And I don't want to see anybody sacrificing their well-being, their life in general outside of work, on just struggling with this ability to go, actually no, I don't have the capacity for that. And what I've learned as well over time is, when I found the confidence to start saying those things, it was never as big as a deal as I thought it was going to be. And in fact, very much the human came back and met me and was like, oh, okay, no problem. Well, what can we do to make sure that we can get it happening? And all of a sudden now I was in a discussion that I didn't expect to happen before. So, yeah, don't be afraid to say no, or don't be afraid to establish a bit of boundaries. It's totally okay. Like, practice with it.
Be good at like managing yourself and creating a little bit of a routine. Um, and I think that's good for any VA, including account management, but especially if you're doing engagement and stuff, because you want to have like kind of set times. Like I just do morning, afternoon, I pop in. But you need to like stay militant with yourself and stay on top of stuff, especially if it's a high traffic account, because otherwise you'll be bogged down with responding to things, and stuff will get missed. But also have the ability to like pivot that routine and be flexible, because like stuff's gonna change. Trends change. Like my client that like completely did a 180, your client's strategy might change. And again, you're there to execute that strategy. So you have to be willing to pivot. Their goals in general for their account might change, or their ideal client might change. Their whole business might change. So you have to be willing to not get so set in your ways that you feel like upset when your client changes something. Because again, you're there to be their right hand person. You're not there to like tell them what to do. So if what they're doing changes, then you change along with them. So having that flexibility mindset, yeah, you might take a moment to be like, oh, okay, but then you just keep going. You have to be resilient. Um, and the resilience, I think, comes down again to any VA, because there are times where you'll feel like, oh my gosh, what if this client fires me? Is the next client coming? Like, and you got to just keep trucking along.
Learn basics, the absolute basics. Knowing that, okay, I'm going to do email management, calendar management, travel, just those three things. Even if you just take those are standard VA tasks that you do. So what are primary things that companies use for those? Google and Microsoft. There you go. So narrow that down. Learn the basics, and you don't have to be an expert, but as long as you're like, okay, I know Gmail, I know Google Docs, I know Sheets, I know PowerPoint, I know slides enough to understand, okay, I know how to make a basic presentation. So that to me is the most important thing. And then again, we being VAs, you're constantly learning, constantly. So you walk in there with just basics, then you're good. And that's how you get your foot in the door. I mean, as long as you know how to send an email, how to look at emails and put labels and filter them. Calendar, make events and schedule. That's your first number one. That's what you need to step into the VA field. And then everything from there is learning. And that's how everybody starts. I think some of the common mistakes, and this is going to be a little unique. I went through this, and I know some other VAs that have too. Sometimes we can get a little cocky. And I know that sounds weird, but there's a certain point where you've heard me talk about Asana. I love Asana, but does Asana work for everybody? No. And there are other ones that are out there. So I think that upon one point, being a VA, I think everybody has gotten to that point where I know it. I'm good. I know not everything, but I know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, you need Asana for sure. No. My best advice to say, hey, catch yourself is we are problem solvers. We have to think outside of the box. We have to say, even though I love working with this particular program, is this absolutely what my client needs? And sometimes it's not. And you got to kind of suck it in and say, okay, I'm going to find the best thing for them. So thinking outside of the box and researching and really truly thinking about what they truly need. We can kind of get into our own little box and, oh, I love all these things. They're so great. Well, not one size fits all in the VA world.
So even if we don't have knowledge in apps, technicalities at all, we can still start because we can always learn something. Like for example, Facebook or Messenger. I mean, they are not existing like what 20 years ago, but still we learn how to use it. So we should not be afraid of technology. So that's number one. They get stuck because they think they need to know many apps. They need to get familiar with technologies.